Sometimes whenever you contemplate a band, the history and how they got to where they are today is just as interesting, if not more interesting, than examining the overall musical value of an album or something like that. Onslaught's kind of one of those bands in the way in which the thrash revival of the 2000s has definitely aided this band and has definitely given them a lot of a reason to continue making albums. And that's true once again here in 2013 with their newest album simply entitled Six. It's entitled Six because this is their sixth album, and strangely enough, if you really want to take a deeply numerical look at this, this is their third album ever since their reformation. This was a band that throughout the latter part of the 1980s were able to release three very kind of quietly acclaimed albums in the heavy metal universe, and then largely were just, non-existent for about, good 15 years or so. So, if you think that Carcass's long journey back to where they are with their new release, Surgical Steel, was a long wait, well, the Onslaught fans were waiting for probably just about as long, which meant that, like the Carcass reunion, the Onslaught reunion was definitely something that a lot of people were very, very happy about. The result that we got from the band was Killing Peace, and then we got The Sounds of Violence about 4 years after that. And really, I think during that time frame between those two records, a lot of people wondered if maybe Killing Peace was just a one-off album that wasn't going to, really lead to a full-scale reformation that was going to last multiple records. However, it has, and, well, this time we only had to wait 2 years for the new Onslaught record, and, well, here it is. Onslaught's definitely gotten a lot of great acclaim throughout their career. They're definitely one of the kind of unsung heroes of the whole thrash metal movement. They're one that definitely blends a little bit more of an evil side to their work, and they are based out of the UK. Now, with their album Six here in 2013, we're seeing the same raw power, we're seeing the same raw riffage that we heard on the first two records. The real thing that has to be a little bit concerning for Onslaught fans, and really for thrash fans in general, is that now that we're 3 albums in, there may not really be much in the way of surprise that occurs on this record. And to a certain degree and to a certain extent, that's definitely true. Onslaught uses a very direct approach. They use, fast and furious riffage, they use very hateful lyrics, and they're able just to combine that all with a whole lot of attitude. And that's actually one of the real key positives that this and all of the records that they've had ever since the Reformation really boast. It's in the fact that you kind of get lost within it. You may remember with the Hawken review that I just did, apparently I've been pronouncing the band's name wrong for years, by the way. It's apparently Haken, just like bacon, so my bad. But kind of like Haken, what you really get with this record is you're kind of right there along with the music. You're very deeply enthralled by the music, and they're able to, through their instrumentalization and through their vocals, really take you inside and really take you on that same emotional journey. However, unlike Haken and unlike The Mountain, where it was something where it was very introspective, full of self-discovery and self-awareness, this is an album that is fueled by just 100% unadulterated and unabridged hatred. And this is definitely present on a lot of these tracks. Consider things such as 666 and, Crucifixion, not to mention Children of the Sand. And you can definitely tell that there's a lot of different aspects and ideas going on here that really aren't exactly, grade school friendly. And let's face it, Onslaught's never been a band that's really been grade school friendly, and this is definitely not something that you would want your kid to take to grade school. Okay, I lied. He kind of is, because let's face it, we need a little bit of a revolution in this country. The riffs are definitely fast and furious, as the past two releases have been, and no, this isn't Fast and Furious 3 just because it's the third album that's come back. Else it'd be like Tokyo Drift Onslaught Edition or something like that, which is just really retarded. However, as you furiously make your way through this album, it almost feels as though the amount of animosity sort of builds with each passing track. And that actually leads to a pretty unique listening experience in the thrash metal department, which really it just feels like as this album has pressed on and as they continue to write for the record, they just kind of got pissed off more and more and more, and they've been able to explode that energy and really release that energy with greater ferocity and with a greater, heightened sense of just rage as the tracks kind of continue onward. What you get actually is definitely a furious album, one that may not quite compare to The Sounds of Violence, and one that I think really out of the three is kind of a distant third. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about it being a distant third. And that's the fact that even though it's a distant third, it's still a damn fine record. These are all records from their ever since their Reformation that have been extremely qualifiable. Definitely ones that put them right along the same names of the Reformation as the Exoduses and the Creators. Now, while we're not talking about any of these albums being, perfect 10 classics, such as Creator's Phantom Antichrist was last year, these are still definitely albums that should not be missed, and they definitely have a proper placement along with other bands such as Destruction or perhaps Tankard that have really just continued the fury throughout really the past couple of decades. With Onslaught's Reformation, it was definitely something where fans of this band that kind of remembered them from the 80s and early 90s just breathed a sigh of relief in knowing that they were back and they were just happy as, pigs in shit. And while that happiness feeling is definitely one that's going to continue, and that rage that is kind of fueled by listening to their music is going to continue with the release of 6, because it just really has the benchmark of what Onslaught is known for and does best written all over it. There's no bullshit, there's nothing fancy about it. This is just something where they were able to go into the studio and grind it out and produce one mighty fine record. This is definitely one I'd probably give an 8 to an 8.25 for. I really enjoyed the experience just in the fact that Onslaught has not decided to really take any prisoners. They just continue to do what it is that they do best, and they don't feel the real need to, really dress it up any. They don't feel the need to really, have it be anything other than raw. And there's a certain amount of respect that you can get, definitely take away from an album such as this. So I definitely encourage each and every one of you to give this one a listen. I want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments. And if you picked up this record already, either that or if you have a pre-order that comes in, this is something new I'm trying here on the channel. Whenever you get your pre-order or whenever you pick up the album, come back to this video and put in the comments that you picked it up and you purchased it. Let's let the band know, if they were to happen to watch this video, that a lot of people have picked it up. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Once again, check out Onslaught 6. It's definitely fucking crucifantastic. Lamest joke ever. I'm getting really good at that.